Hello everyone. So you probably have heard about Kerry, about the CAM service in Kerry, the 46 children that suffered um, immense harm in Kerry CAM section, South Kerry CAM section. And this is to say about all the CAMs, because it's happening in all the CAMs, because all the CAMs services, and if you don't know what CAMs is, for basically young adults, mental health services, the state one mental health services, the HSC funded mental health services, not like Pay the House and so sad voluntary groups, voluntary organisations. And just to say they do far better job, Pay the House and so sad do far better jobs than the government one mental health service. So that tells you all you need to know. And again, even though these have rely on voluntary donations and charity fundraisers and things like that, the government funded the HSE CAT sustain services, and this is across the whole country. In Cavan's the same crack that it's just unsustainable. In other words, CAMS that it literally can't function properly, and the leadership is just incapable of doing anything right. To be totally honest, not alone in Cavan, but all across the country. There's problems. There's a huge amount of people waiting on waiting lists to be seen to, just to be seen to, not even be referred to anything or to be given any tablets or anything like that, just to be seen to, just to be even in the room and just to talk to the person, just to say hello. This is the thing. This is how long way. But again, this thing in Kerry, where Doctor, and along with Cams in Kerry, done immense harm to people. I have to just get the exact facts. But yeah, found 46 children suffered immense harm in Kerry. We have to, we have to look at that. 72 CAMS teams across the whole Republic of Ireland. There has to be investigation, and I said this before. I said this a few weeks ago. The CAMs need to be just abolished. To be totally honest, they need to just be abolished altogether. And we need to try and look at other things. We have to either look at Paid House, because Paid House is a good system. It's more better than CAMs, would you believe? So either we use Pay the House and give it government funding, we fund it, become a government funded organisation, or we do something similar to Pay the House. Is so sad, in every county, and it be administered by the local authorities. Because obviously so sad is in Cavan. There's an office in Cavan. I worked in them before. I had dealings with CAMs in the past with my mental health. I have to say they done their best. The people who were with me, obviously, they done their best. Only workers, but it wasn't professional. I might be honest. They wouldn't professional. Didn't feel like they were trained or anything. That they didn't know what they were doing. To be totally honest, and it wasn't the highest quality you would expect in mental health service. It was basically just, you know, they were too busy running around. In other words, the focus on the person that needed help. And again, it's not their fault. I'm sure it's not their fault. I don't blame the staff. I blame the higher ups in the HSE. The higher ups sitting in the HSE up in Dublin doing fuck all, and getting ridiculous sum of money for standing around doing fuck all in Dublin. So yeah, that's who I blame. I don't blame the only men or the only woman working in CAMs. They're doing their best, I'm sure. But in this situation, Kerry, obviously it needs to be investigated, because it's happening all over all the CAMs. So to be honest with you, because all the CAM services are just, I haven't seen one. I looked at one of the other ones that are running to a standard which is supposed to be expected of a mental health service. In other words, the standard is not there. It's just completely gone off the wall. And we need to look at it. We need to reform CAMS. We need to look into actually dismantling CAMS and focus on building a new mental health organisation for the state, and that's state funded. I use the example we use, take Pay the House, so it's so sad, and we give a government funded, we fund it from the government, we fund it from the public purse, in other words. Because they have good standards. Like, take for example So Sad and Cavan. You have very quick appointments, even though they're overwhelmed with amount of people coming in to talk to them, and to get treatment and to talk. They're doing very, very good. I know myself, there's good old people went in, but they always found time. They always found 20 minutes, 30 minutes for me to go in and speak to them when I did go back, when I did go in 2018. And they always found time. They always found time to fit me in other words. In CAMS, like, take for example, back when I was very, very bad, I was only if I was extremely bad again. I was extremely bad that they had to see me in CAMS. They couldn't lay me for a month or two. In other words, it was very, very serious. It's deemed very, very serious, and I had to be seen straight away too. If only for that, I would have been there 2 or 3 months in the hospital waiting for them to come out to me. Only for it was serious, and I was referred up to the mental health ward of Cherry Orchard Hospital, which was that serious because the mental health unit for the whole country, really, need to be totally honest with you. So yeah, yeah, but again, this is the thing that we need to take mental health seriously. We truly do need to take mental health seriously in this county and all across the country. We need to take it serious. But again, we need to reform, and that's the way we start. That's how we start, reforming things, making things up to standard, getting systems in place, getting procedures in place. That's how we start, and then we can walk our way around and try and fix things. But again, as I say, if instead of CAMHS and Cavan, I would really say if we got so sad, if we paid the people in so sad in Cavan, take for example, I feel very strongly about this. If we paid the people in so sad in Cavan and we got a few extra staff and we give them government funding, and we give them instead of CAMHS and Cavan, I think they would do a far better job. To be totally honest, I think the structure's there. The structure is there. They're very organised people, very qualified people. They knew what they were doing. Not like CAMHS, to be totally honest. The CAMHS and Cavan, in fairness, they don't seem highly qualified compared to the people. These are people not getting paid. But again, that's just me. That's just where I see. Maybe other people see it differently. But I do feel very strongly about that. I think it's so sad. It's the best service for County Cavan. I really truly do, instead of CAMHS. I do think it is. And I say to people in County Cavan to ring So Sad in Cavan Town or to speak to them. Call in this, make an appointment and speak to them because they're the best service for County Cavan, to be totally honest. And I don't really think CAMHS have much of a role to play in County Cavan, to be totally honest. It is in the state it's in other words. In the state it's in. Unless something changes, again, there needs to be constant reform. Again, Mary Butler is putting her head into the sand. Last year I tried to speak to her about young suicides that happened, 3 young suicides in the row, trying to say where is the resources for young people in this county. And the number keeps going up. And I tell you straight, the number of young people taking their lives is going up in this county. And Mary Butler has her head in the sand, to be totally honest. Like I've seen nothing. There's barely nothing came true to be dancing around. They're talking about a nurse to help out, but again, when is that coming? Is that coming next Christmas, next month? When? Very little communication. I wanted to speak to her. I rang her office multiple times. Nothing was came of it. Mary Butler never emailed me. Never done anything. But anyway, that's just me. Again, I'm trying to put pressure on them because I feel very strongly. Again, I do because I experienced it myself. Mental health suffering and attempted suicide. I experienced it myself. I know how people feel, particularly young people. I know how they feel. And this can't wait. Again, stand around waiting for something to be done and waiting for resources to be there. It's not acceptable. Let's be fair, because again, mental health is a very serious thing. You can't wait a month and be like, oh, just give it a month and see how you feel. That's not acceptable. Maybe years ago that was acceptable, but not nowadays. Especially when they're getting an insane amount of money. These higher ups in the HSE, and there's no money and there's no funding and there's no staffing, for people who need help. There's no money for that. But anyway, that's just Ireland nowadays. But anyway, I say to people, if you need any help, please don't be afraid to contact me or contact anybody. And just know that you're valued. Thank you.